Welcome back to Business Daily. We had to have that extended break because of the connection with our guest, Dr. Charles Okerefe, a business analyst, joining us from Delta States to further discuss this situation. Good morning, Doctor. Thank you for joining us on Business Daily this morning. All right, Doctor.
Good morning. I can barely hear you.
Oh, okay. All right. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me,
Please
Doctor?
come again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, now. So earlier we showed, we played a report, two reports rather, about the cost of living in Nigeria. Now, what are the key factors that you can say is driving the high cost of living in the country?
Well, as any Nigerian living would know, the factors are not far-fetched. Number one, the price of petrol is key to what we're experiencing today. Don't forget when President Buhari was leaving office, the price of petrol was about 194 naira per liter. Even then, we were crying to high heavens that things were expensive. Then fast forward to when fuel prices now jumped over 1,000 naira. Even though it's receded now, but you can imagine that for an inflationary trend of over 1,000%, you can then imagine what exactly we are going through in Nigeria. So fuel prices is key. Then you have to also look at the exchange rates, the foreign exchange rates. Now, that is talking about the exchange rate between the naira and the US dollars, upon which we predicate our imports and every other thing. Now, a few months ago, the dollar to the naira was about 750. But as of today, we are talking in excess of over 1,500. And Nigerian-based importers have to assess forex before they can import. So who bears the cost of that huge gap that exists between then and now? It is you and I, the Nigerians. So these are the basic factors that have necessitated the increases, the astronomical increases in the price of goods and services. Then, apart from that, you will also want to realize that our way of doing things in Nigeria, we in a way you will see that even we, the ordinary people, we are wicked to ourselves. They will tell you, even the woman selling pepper and okra in the market, they will tell you the price of dollar is high. Because of that, they will increase the price of tomatoes. I mean, it's not real. We should also be our brother's keeper. We know that these things are happening. They are hampering trade. They are hampering every other aspect of our lives. Look at rent increases, for instance. Sometimes I wonder how the ordinary man is able to survive in this country. It is difficult. Rent, especially in urban areas like Lagos, Warri, Port Harcourt, they are beyond the reach. They balance that with what you call the minimum wage of 70,000 naira. You just mentioned now that bags of rice, the prices are coming down to about 75,000. That is even way over the minimum wage. In other words, a family of 4, 5, you cannot afford a bag of rice with your minimum wage. If you do that, how about the other things that needs to go with it? So it is an existential problem, and I don't know how it is going to be ameliorated, because we are not seeing the signs, of easing out.
Okay.
The inflationary trend is heavy, is astronomical.
Okay.
And it is telling on every home in Nigeria.
Okay.
Especially on the low-level people in this country. I don't really know how people survive. People have to skip meals. In those days in the university, there is what we call 001. 010. Now it is giving practical expression in the current day Nigerian lifestyle, and it is very unfortunate because now we should be going up, not coming down.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for that very vast explanation. Covered quite a lot of other things. Now we see that it's not just the households that are struggling anymore. Let's hone it down to the people that make a majority of our economy in the business, and that is the SMEs. Now, how has the rising cost of essentials like fuel, rent, or raw materials impacted the SMEs? And if you can see our earlier package, the ladies who had to venture into petty trading so as to ameliorate, how is this affecting their businesses?
The point of the matter is that businesses are closing down. Because if you are in a business and you are not getting adequate patronage, of course a time will come when you will call yourself, you have to question yourself, is this business worth continuing with? A lot of SMEs are shutting down. Even big businesses are closing down. In a situation whereby even multinationals have to expend about 40% of their overhead costs on power and energy alone.
Doctor, I take it that the network is impacting the conversation. Doctor, can you hear me? We've apparently lost Dr. Charles Okere.
That is over.
Hopefully
who eke out the living by trying to survive. They are not able to, because these things, they are impacted upon by huge overhead costs, and that has impacted negatively. Yes.
Factors, of course, one of them, as we all know, is the fuel of price. Dr. Charles Okere, thank you for still staying with us.
Thank you for having me, Chiamaka.
You can continue with your thoughts.
God bless you.
You can continue with what you were saying before the network challenge.
Okay, I was saying that when you have a situation whereby the small and medium scale enterprises are not able to, to run because of excessive cost of power, and energy, it becomes a difficult thing for them to carry on with their businesses, because patronage will be reduced, and that is exactly what is going on in Nigeria. Okay, most ladies are used to do different type of hairstyle. Now, many of them are now going for what they call Amaka. So what happens to the owners of such salons and all of that? It is overbearing, and it's having a multiplier effect on what is going on across the board. Even in the markets, we say food is a necessity, yes, but when you go to the food section of some markets, you still discover that they are having low patronage, because people do not have that disposable income as they used to have to be able to buy what they need for their families. So families are just struggling. And like I said, many small and middle scale enterprises are closing shops, as well as big businesses who have to spend up to 40% of their operational costs on just sourcing fuel and energy alone. There is no way they can make the break even, and not to talk of making profits. Okay, so it is only such outfits like banks, that run services, that can be talking of profit. If you look at the stock exchange, for instance, you hear them declaring a lot of profits. But you will hardly find core manufacturers declaring such profits nowadays, because they are being overwhelmed. Okay, spare parts are expensive, because when you talk of importation, now because of the exchange rate regime that we are going through now, the cost of importation has quadrupled. Imagine a car that a Toyota Corolla that used to sell for 1.4 million, maybe like 3-4 years ago, they are selling the Nigerian used now for 6 million naira. Nigerian used. Not to talk of the imported one, which is Tokumbo, what we call Tokumbo, fairly used. The other day, a friend bought a Toyota RAV4 of 2012 for 17 million naira. These are cars that were selling for 3 million naira just about 2-3 years ago. So you can now imagine what we are going through as Nigerians.
Okay.
So I want to believe that the government has a blueprint in terms of how to boil our exports and yes, and reduce the try to break the foreign exchange gap. Okay, I think the CBA has a lot of role to play there. Then, thank God, Dangote refinery is on stream. I want us to see a situation where the price of a liter of petrol will come down to even 300 naira.
Okay.
Then we can begin to see recession in the high prices of goods and services and commodities that we are experiencing at the moment. Anything short of that, I don't see a miracle that will turn the situation around. So the government has to be very deliberate, in trying to not only regulate, but also ensure that things are put in proper place. Okay, the enabling environment is created for businesses to thrive.
Okay.
We are talking of a new type of tax coming up now that people are resisting here and there. As the government really taking a second look to see how positively it's going to impact on the Nigerian common man and the small and the medium scale enterprises for the betterment and for the good of businesses in Nigeria. I think these are areas that we have to focus our attentions on.
All right, we can see that we're now being joined by Billis Gilhari, who is the Petroleum president. But before we get to him, we'll continue this conversation with you, Dr. Charles Okerefe. And just before we move on to the next conversation about the Petroleum people speaking yesterday about oil marketers crying out about the price reduction, lastly, on this subject, how can SMEs use costs, or rather cut costs, while maintaining product quality?
How they can cut costs? Anyway, small and medium scale enterprises are not huge employers of labor. Because one of the first casualties of cutting costs is cutting labor costs. So, and when you cut labor costs, you are throwing more people into the unemployment market. And when that happens, crime rates increases. So advising SMEs to, will you now say that the person who is using fuel to run his business should stop buying fuel, should buy half the quantity he used to buy? How then does he or she maximize profits? So the mathematics is neither here nor there. The only thing I can say is that the government must create the enabling environment. Find a way to reduce the cost of fuel, for instance, because that is a major indicator of these high prices that we are talking about. So a lot has to do with the government. Yes, a private operator will want to maybe operate for less hours, maybe work from home, remote work 2 days in a week, and things like that. These are strategies that some companies have employed, and maybe it is working for them. But I still want to maintain that the buck stops at the feet of the government. They have to create that environment that will make businesses to thrive.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Charles Okerefe. We have to move on to another conversation with the Petroleum president. But thank you for joining us today on Business Daily to discuss surviving the living cost crisis in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.